GameMaker recently released a beta with brand new multiplayer functionality aimed at making it a lot easier for developers to make and share multiplayer games. I decided to put it to the test in a live stream about a week or so ago, where I made a multiplayer game from scratch, knowing nothing about the code or tech beforehand. I also then went to the GameMaker meetup at the Develop conference in Brighton, where I got to ask the team a couple of follow-up questions, because boy do we have those, and I'll get into some of that throughout this video. First off though, my game went pretty well. I spent overall about 5 hours to make a game and play it, albeit very briefly with the people in chat as I ran a bit out of time. So I didn't get a chance to really try the sharing and publishing side, and I don't think I quite put enough of a bow on the game to really share it publicly. It didn't really take long to get to the point where multiplayer worked at a basic level, and most of my time was sunk in either the bog standard making the game from scratch part, or in tackling concepts and edge cases that aren't really covered by the basic tutorial. I was pretty impressed with the straightforwardness of the setup, even though that initially concerned me. I was worried that the system would be so simple that it became deeply inflexible, and that wasn't really the case. There certainly are limits, but it's so exciting to be able to make something like this so quickly, and my head was buzzing with thoughts of what could be done after I had my first play around. I made an asynchronous game where one player becomes a monster, and the other three have to power up a certain number of crystals in order to stop the monster. A sort of oversimplified Dead by Daylight kind of thing. I wanted it to have more players, so I was gutted a bit when I learned the system only supports up to 4 right now, but I still got to make something cool. Some of the issues I ran into were, first, largely getting my head around how the system works. Not setting it up and following the tutorial, that was all fine, but understanding what it was doing and what that meant for how to build a game around it. Because it feels very black box at first. For those that don't know, that's a term to refer to a system you only interact with at a high level and don't understand or can't control what it does at a deeper, lower level. It's opaque and you can't see what's going on inside. It's a black box. GameMaker itself is quite black boxy by nature, and everything in it is a black box to some degree. But once it clicks for you how this rollback system works, it really started to feel like I could do whatever I wanted. My next worry was not really knowing what I should optimize, or what I might have to optimize, or how well this would all run. And locally everything seemed fine, but when I shared the game with chat there was extreme lag. Now, it turns out this was basically just because of the regioning. I had players from all over the world trying to play this thing, and it seems like this system of netcode isn't really built for that. Which is understandable, you know, games often have region-locked servers for a reason, but with only 4 players and such little going on in the game, it was a bit disappointing. Because one of the biggest appeals for me with this stuff was thinking I could just make a thing and throw it out on Twitter or on stream or whatever and be like, hey, everyone get in here and play. And like, it doesn't really seem like that's there yet because regional latency is just too much. But again, maybe there's ways we can optimize. We don't know how the tech is going to develop, so who knows what the future might be like. Speaking of the future, I spoke to Gavin and Russell from GameMaker and got some answers to the biggest burning question I'd had when I'd made my other video, and that is, what is the plan for the server side of this tech, currently managed wholly as part of GX Games? Can we control it? How will it work on other platforms? While most of what they said came with disclaimers and no promises, etc., the earnest desire at the moment is not just to bring this to all platforms, as they've said publicly already. They want to allow developers to access and deploy the server-side stuff themselves, but also control it directly by hopefully making it open source. This was a huge thing to hear because I had honestly run with the assumption that this was always going to be a black box, GameMaker managed system to make multiplayer easier for beginners, but from everything I heard, it really sounds like they want this tech to be something all developers can make serious use of. Also, the actual developers of the multiplayer system itself watched the stream and volunteered to answer questions, which is awesome. I haven't really taken them up on it yet, but I probably will in some capacity. There's so much great energy from the devs that shows they want this stuff to do well and not just be a gimmick feature. So it's worth remembering, it's only just come to the beta and has its limits at the moment. It only deploys to GX right now, it only supports up to 4 players right now, regions are an issue, but after actually using the tech and encountering these limits head on, I'm still really impressed and really excited for the future, because the plans, goals and incentives for GameMaker and this system all seem to line right up with my own, so I'm hyped. By the way, while talking about Opera GX, I'm gonna be straight with you. I don't like the browser. Sorry GameMaker, sorry Opera, please don't disown me, but right now it isn't for me. It's got some cool little things, but I want a browser. I don't really want a gaming browser. But it does turn out a lot of people do. Opera GX has had over 14 million monthly active users in late 2021 alone. A lot of us are understandably unenthusiastic about this being the only platform for this tech right now, and often being the first platform to get new features and support at the moment, but that's a lot of users. That's a lot of eyes you can get your game in front of that, don't have a lot else right now. Because as always, everyone is currently where success has already happened. Steam, the app stores, social media. But I'll just throw it out there that there's a big and underserved audience here, and I know that this isn't what everyone wants or why we all make games, but if you're a game developer who wants to break out, hell, if you're in anything and you want to become one of those big, successful statistical outliers in your field, the evidence suggests that you usually have to act like an outlier. So I don't know, like I said, it's not my favorite platform either, but maybe don't dismiss the platform out of hand just because it's not Steam, and it's not the App Store, and it's not the Switch. Just saying. I know there's not been many tutorials lately, and that's what you all want, but I promise I am working on it. Thanks for watching, thanks patrons for patroning, and thanks for hanging out until the end. Cheers all, catch you all next time.